I've enjoyed working on your book. I hope that everybody who gets it or thinks about getting it does and enjoys it as much. It gives it as much proper.
I agree.
Yeah. It's very, very cool. So thank you very much for sharing. I really, truthfully appreciate it. It's actually starting to get dark here, but I'm going to finish off this evening with 3 more poems, and they will be from recent book releases. You haven't seen this one, but I was trying to look for material that I've never shared with you guys. This, I have to go without a glare. This is the Down in the Dirt, so May to September issue collection book, I believe. Why, yes, no, May to August. Sorry, May to August issue collection book. And it's called Lockdown's Over, which seems entirely appropriate when we've been dealing with having to be quarantining ourselves for so long. So I was going to share with you 1 or 2 poems toward the end of this book. This first one is titled Our Society Glossed Over. Our society now is so superficial. We take our selfies from our phones to look our best, or else we get some photo buff to edit our image so that we can look like we do not belong in this world. Soft edges glossed over, so we look surreal, but superficial nonetheless. And that's when it struck me. Now, keep in mind that I really like architecture, both modern lines and classic architecture. I love the mirrored heights of skyscrapers, but a part of me likes, even in buildings from the past century, buildings containing ornate details like they are some sort of homage to a classic civilization, to an endeavor to now be truly a classic. And now this makes me wonder, because I really like the classic older architecture, but I also like what's modern, am I just trying to slap something I thought was once beautiful over something that now could be beautiful if the architect understood what beauty was in what they built? I wonder if this architecture I love is often just someone slapping on a classic facade over it and thinking that this will make it art. For at that point, it's not cutting edge. It's just what we do today and think that it makes a difference. I see that now in modern lines and I think, is that what they're doing? Is that all it is? So, but I'm going to skip a few ahead to another one, and this was related to dreams, and this is something that I was thinking of with both David and the woman who is no longer here, Louise. This is titled, and when I refer to a poet here, the poet is actually one of the poets that is in this group. So I wonder if you'll get it. This is called Do the Dead Still Live? I woke up from a dream last night where a man I once dated who died was still alive in my dream. And another man from my past was there too. And when I woke up from that dream in the middle of the night, I thought that I should actually remember this and write it. And then I went back to sleep. I started dreaming again, and when I dreamed again, this time, someone asked me why I didn't write my dream down. I answered them with, who wants to hear about a dream where a man I once dated who died is alive in my dream and still professes their love to me? I mean, who wants to hear anything like that? I said that, but then I turned around and my mom was there, still alive. And I said, "Hi, Mom." And then I woke up. I told a poet friend of mine that about these dreams today, and then they asked me if this happens to me often, if the dead come back to me in dreams like that. I told them no, and that's when my poet friend said that they say that the dead do not still live. I know exactly what he meant. Sorry. Yeah, Tom said that to me after I told him about these dreams, and he's like, do they talk to you? Because it's so something Tom would say. And I'm doing a longer one for the last poem here. It is one more because I read 2 from the most recent issue of Down in the Dirt, but I didn't read 2 from the most recent issue of cc&d magazine, Down and Inside. When I was walking along the water at the port at New Orleans, There was even a statute that talked about slaves being brought into this port, and I was bringing up this story of this happening, which I happen to write a poem about. And I'm trying to get a lamp so that I can not be putting, oh, but that's really bright for you guys. This is a poem. I'm going to figure out to get this lamp. I can't do it. I want to be able to see, man. So forgive me that I'm keeping the book low because it'll be in the light of this little lamp. But this poem is called Ethical Thing to Do. And yeah, I wish this was higher so I can get this into the pages. And it was written on the 29th of November. And it was a day in 1781 of the Zong Massacre. He's going to do bright lights for me. This is called Ethical Thing to Do. Today it was asked if I knew the date when ethics courses became mandatory for a business college degree. I had no idea. And then I said, it had to be recent. They nodded in agreement. And then I thought that it's probably coincided with the civil rights movement. So I guess maybe the 50s or 60s. They answered, wrong millennium, which confused me greatly, because the Enron scandal of a business knowingly lying to its investors to give the company an inflated worth, that is why it was only 2004 when Susan Phillips led the task force in their push for schools to increase education and ethics into businesses. People losing money, that's what caused the push, not say racial or gender reasons, ethically. I then thought of the day when the crew of the British slave ship Zong murdered 133 Africans by dumping them into the sea to claim insurance. It sounds horrific, I know, but know that back then people would fill their ships with more slaves than they could possibly handle to increase their profits for every trip across the ocean. But by the 27th of November in 1781, some slaves were already sick and dying when the Zong got caught in, get this, the doldrums. Now, you see, seriously, there's this area in the ocean that is known to have no wind at all. So often if a ship got caught in the doldrums, it would be stuck there and they would run out of food and water and die. Well, the Zong got caught there, and with dying slaves and having to keep enough water for the rest of the crew, they thought it would make more sense if they just unloaded their excess cargo, so their crewmates would have enough water to live. Besides, large ships like this paid insurance for their cargo, like slaves, so they could get their money from their losses. Once the Zong arrived in Jamaica, they filed their claims for their loss, but they did not have enough water to save all. The insurance underwriter protested, citing that the ship still had 420 gallons aboard the ship upon arrival. But abolitionists actually claimed this with the first-time use of the word massacre. But the British Solicitor General said that slaves are goods and property, and that it was madness to actually accuse these honorable men of murder because throwing property overboard, quote, is the same as if wood had been thrown overboard. Those were his words, and those are the thoughts of the time. During this trip, 10 slaves threw themselves overboard in an act of protest. Did they know that they were going to die and make this trip? And it made me think of the people that I remember seeing jump out of the World Trade Center after the horrendous attacks in 2001. Did they jump because it was the lesser of two evils? Or did they do it because it was the ethical thing to do? For we forget that there's no distinction, there's no disconnect when it comes to ethics. not only in business, but in our personal lives. It's all on this continuum because our ethical choices tie everything together. Some people wonder why we'd need to teach ethics in business curriculums. Then again, others wonder why it wasn't taught before. And realizing how in business ethics can be thrown out the window, that's where people forget how desperately ethics is needed to be woven into every ways in our lives. It's a weird message, but you know, there you have it. Yeah, I had to end it on a strong one for that thing for you guys, and thank you for the light, my darling. And that was cc&d magazine, the November 2021 issue, Down and Inside. And I would like to thank you all for coming early and staying late, and thank you John F. McMullen for your contributions of poetry with the book Collected Poems 2008 to 2010. Thank you, and thank you for hosting this, and thank you all for staying, and you can unmute yourself if you wanted to talk, John. He's still muted. You're still muted, John. We can all just unmute.
If you go to buy my book, there's all those magazines that you should pick up, Down in the Dirt, cc&d, the current ones, and the anthologies.
And the anthologies as well. There's so much, and he's got so much stuff in Scars Publications books, and so yeah. And thank you, John, and thank you, and thank you all. Thank newbies for coming, and thank you guys for coming back, and thank you for listening. And I'm just looking around at different faces. You don't know who I'm talking to when I do that, but I would like to thank each and every one of you. I don't know what the first Sunday in December is because I don't have my date book, but I will be here. John will be here. We will share poetry on the first Sunday in December with you guys, and more hopefully, and we'll get our time straight.
December 5.
The 5th of December. December 5 is what it is. The number is 5. The number, what is, that's a, oh my god, it's a Monty Python. No, that's number 3. The number is 3. The number is 5, and that is the number, and that is the one for the next open mic. Thank you, John, again. Thank you all for showing and coming and staying and being a part of this little mini poetry revolution. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you next month. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.